Today on Bucko Banner, we recap the National Series, see what's happening down on the farm, and preview the upcoming series against the Marlins with reoccurring guest Adam Sinkoe. You're watching the Bucko Banner podcast, brought to you by the Just Baseball Media Network. Cue the music.
Rockin' 101, she compliment my taste. Whiskey in my lemonade, cause I like the way it tastes. Best seats at the Pirates game, they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my dates. Or the steak by the plates.
We are back, and it is just me. So Scott is your favorite co-host. Just skip over this episode. He is no longer with us for the next couple of weeks. Scotty is on a vacation. It's his time to go to Europe. He is out there with his girlfriend exploring Italy, going on meatball excursions and doing all of that fun stuff. The best to him, his girlfriend, the family. I hope they enjoy their time, but there is a lot happening here in Pittsburgh. The Steelers have started, and the Pirates split a series against the Nationals. So life's not bad. Could have gone better this week. Got off to a little bit of a rocky start. They won the first game. If you don't recall, we were recording and previewing the Cubs series when they beat the Nationals in game one. And then a little bit of a shaky series overall, not just with the Pirates, but just the overall organization in terms of postponing Friday's game. Quick story, and maybe I'm taking this a little bit too personally. Was going to the game with my dad. We haven't gone to a game in a while. We parked downtown. We're walking across the bridge, and one of the guys selling waters looks at us and he goes, "Game's canceled." I'm like, all right, funny one, man. Walk up to the gate. Game's canceled. They played 2-1 Saturday. Didn't rain until 11 p.m. that night. So I'm a little bit sour. Kind of reminds me of the rainouts that they had in Detroit earlier in the year where the whole Jared Jones start got messed up and they had to play 2 on Saturday. They lost both on Saturday. It wasn't great. I was at game 2, had some content coming out for that, but just blew another one where they should have won it. And I know I swore to myself, I'm not going to say they should have won this game or they could have done this, because just good teams find a way and bad teams don't. And they just blew one that they had in the bag. We'll get into that with the game recaps. A couple of things I wanted to talk about. One, just a moment of reflection. We started this podcast back in February of this year. Didn't really know what we were doing. Didn't know where this would go. And it kind of sunk in with me this week. As we were at the ballpark Saturday night, I saw some Bucko Banner hats around the field. I met some awesome people who said they liked the podcast. Somebody just stopped me and, asked how it was going and that they like the content. It's really nice to hear. And it's something that we probably don't recognize because we're putting so much into it. It's hard to just take a step back and realize what's going on. But as the season comes to an end and we only have a couple weeks left of podcasts during the year, I want to take the time to say thank you to everybody that's made this year so special. And for the next couple of weeks, we're going to continue to try and bring you a ton of content, a lot of videos. Me personally, I'm going to go on the road to Cincinnati, and then I'm going to go on the road to New York to finish out the year. But again, it's awesome to see where this has gone. Have met a ton of awesome Pirates content creators. Last night, I met Michael from the 412 Double Play podcast. Shout out to him. We had some awesome conversations. But really, it's just everybody that contributes to Pirates Twitter, the fans, the players. It's been a really special year on our end, just getting started, and I'm really excited to see where this goes. That being said, got a couple of things that happened. We'll go through some transactions really quick. Some big stuff. As we know, Domingo Germán was cleared on the waivers because guess what? Nobody wants Domingo Germán. So he was outrated to Indianapolis, where he will probably finish the year. If we see him again, I don't know what's going on. Joey Bart reinstated from the 10-day IL. He is back, and he played at the end of this series. Billy McKinney was DFA'd. Henry Davis, which I was about to go on a rant on this podcast on why they are not finding playing time for Henry Davis this series. It was the longest homestand of the year, and he did not play once. He did not get one at bat. Maybe this is the reason why, and it's going to save me the headache of going on a tangent. He's placed on the 10-day IL with left hand inflammation. Who knows if this is the end of Henry Davis's year with the Pittsburgh Pirates in 2024. If it is, disappointing is an understatement, I would say. A lot of expectations, an amazing spring training. If you recall, we had some pretty lofty expectations for Henry going into the year as a staple in the middle of the lineup, providing a ton of power, improving behind the plate. It just didn't work out. There still needs to be a ton of adjustments. I'm not saying that those can't happen, but this year is kind of a scratch for Henry. We'll see where it goes. The reason that I was going to bring it up and talk about it a little bit more is because Endy Rodriguez is going to be assigned to Double-A Altoona, where he will start to get some at-bats to wrap up the year in the next couple of weeks and get some time behind the plate and at first base, allegedly. So it's nice to see Endy coming back. Next year is going to be interesting. You have Joey Bart under control. Obviously, you still have Henry Davis. You have Endy Rodriguez coming back. Where do you fit all these guys in with Joey Bart coming on strong and really starting to establish himself in the major leagues? Does he get that starting spot? Does Endy come in and play first base, or does he battle out with Bart, where they experiment with Bart in the infield or at DH? Who knows? That's a good problem to have. Yet again, I said that problem going into this year with Henry Davis and Endy Rodriguez and Jason DeLay. So time will tell. And last but not least, Billy Cook, the trade that we made with the Orioles. We sent Patrick Riley over for Billy Cook. Really just two teams where you felt there was a union there. The Orioles, heavy hitting prospects. The Pirates have endless pitching prospects. Nice little swap with guys. Got a high end bat with Billy Cook. Not a top prospect, but someone that was able to come into AAA right away. College bat, finally made his debut after playing pretty well in the minors this year. 275, 375, 849 OPS with 17 bombs, 74 RBIs, and 25 stolen bags. Only 5'11", 205. He got his debut at first base today, which I know Scotty has been a proponent of possibly putting Billy Cook at first base. Only 5'11", and we've had this debate on the podcast before where I maybe had the controversial take of next year, if you're trying to find spots for guys, and maybe if Ke'Bryan Hayes comes back and he's strong, maybe you move IKF over there. If you're working with a guy that's 5'11" at first base, I think you could also make the argument with IKF, but it's nice to see Billy Cook finally getting some reps at the big league level, just like how we wanted Henry Davis to get reps to see what we have at the end of the year this year. This is the time for that. End of the year, September, nothing means anything anymore, except for just finishing playing strong baseball and seeing what we have going into next year. There is value. I've mentioned it time and time again. There is value in playing meaningful baseball at the end of the year, even if you're not competing, because it shows the fans that you have something to look forward to in the next season. And possibly Billy Cook is a name to look out for making the roster in 2025. He had a good debut today, collected a couple hits, a couple RBIs, made a really solid defensive play at first base. Maybe we see Nick York come up, a couple other guys. But really, I think this is what we're going to get in the next couple of weeks of the season. It's just a lot of moving guys around. Obviously, you have O'Neill out in center field, which was really cool to see, by the way, in person for the first time since I came back from Europe. I sat out in center field on Saturday by the bar. O'Neill's kind of sick in center field. The long pants. He's got the mint green glove. He interacts with the fans. That personality plays a lot more in the outfield, just from the proximity standpoint. I like it. At first, I was a little bit skeptical because there's no precedent really for a 6'7" shortstop. I mean, yes, you have Ellie De La Cruz, but O'Neill came on before him. This is really his first year, and it's really tiring hearing Pirates fans hate on O'Neill Cruz as much as they do. I'm not going to get into the reasons why. I think you can all guess where some of those undertones come from. But the straight line speed plays a lot better in center field. For a 6'7" guy, he is very fast. He is not quick. That hurts him at shortstop. That limits his range a little bit. I believe Alex Stumpf put out a video where O'Neill camped under a ball where it was a 50% catch rate, and he camped under it. That speed is going to play. Obviously, the arm is going to play. A full offseason under his belt going into center field. The bat's already been a lot better at the end of the year, especially against lefties. This is someone special. And again, this is his first full major league season. I cannot stress that enough because I heard it a ton at the ballpark before the game and just from, in the background, eavesdropping from some fans. The casual baseball fan likes to find the faults with O'Neal Cruz. He is going to be a staple of this organization. And if he could figure it out in center field, it makes the team's journey a lot easier in plugging and placing different guys in order to make this work. Let's get into the National Series. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be joined by Adam Sinkoe, reoccurring guest and hitting coach for Bloomsburg University, to recap the to preview the Marlins series. But first, let's get into the National Series. Thursday against the Nationals, 9-4 W. Bailey Falter took the mound. 5 innings pitched, 7 hits, 3 earned, 2 walks, 1 home run, and 3 Ks. He's got a 4.45 ERA, 7 whiffs. He threw 65 strikes on 95 pitches. He gave up 3 in the first. It didn't get off to that great of a start. Wasn't getting much out of the zone swings that he really pairs well with that 4-seam at the top of the zone. He's been kind of shaky as the season has gone on. It hasn't been as consistent with Bailey Falter, but I still think he has given us way more than we could have ever expected. So, I mean, he did enough in this one. Definitely not his best. You had a bullpen of Majinski, Santana, Nicholas, and Joey Wentz debuted. Not great. He had a third of an inning pitch, 1 hit, 1 earned, 2 walks, and a K. Chapman got the save in the 6th after Wentz gave up a run. Offense, Nicky G has been really, really hot, and it's good to see him come back strong after a stint on the IL. Obviously, we're very biased over here. We're huge Nick Gonzalez fans. Nicky Barrels, Nicky G, Nicky Knox. He had 3 RBIs in this one, as well as IKF, Reynolds, Tellez, Joe, Grandal, Triolo, all driving in runs. As a team, 7 strikeouts, 9 walks. Pause again, 9 walks. I don't know the last time I said that. 5 for 10 runners in scoring position, 7 left on base. And they had 6 runs off of Jake Irvin, the starting pitcher for the Nationals, which we talked about, jumping on him early, taking advantage of the fastball in the zone. Off to a good start in the series. Friday, like I mentioned, postponed. A weird one. Didn't rain till around 11 to midnight. I mean, it rained heavy, but batting practice was canceled, and they kind of just said, hey, you know what, let's move it to Saturday. So we had 2 games on Saturday. Game 1 was Luis Ortiz at 135 against the Nationals, 5-3 loss. Ortiz, it wasn't bad. He gave up a early home run to Dylan Cruz, who is going to be an absolute stud. He went 5 2/3, 6 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned, 2 walks, 2 Ks, and a home run. His ERA is sitting at 3.26 with 12 whiffs. Man, Ortiz, if he can keep this up and you're able to plug him into the back of the rotation, along with what's on the way coming up through the system, it's going to be scary hours, because his healthy mix of fastballs with that sinker slider 4-seam combo, it just blends together so well. And he's able to pound the zone, man. I mean, he can lose it a little bit, but he had 58 strikes on 100 pitches. He got some chase. He had a bullpen of Jalen Beeks, Nicholas, and Bednar. Not going to spend too much time on it. Maybe I'll get into it a little bit later, but Bednar, 1 inning pitch, 1 hit, 1 earned, 3 walks. Offense, Nicky G with 2 hits and an RBI. Rowdy had a homer. That was really the only offense at the beginning of the game. The Nicky G RBI came late. As a team, 7 strikeouts, 4 walks, 1 for 2 runners in scoring position, 5 left on base, 1 for 2 runners in scoring position. You're not going to do much with that. We go to Saturday. I was there, game 2. Shout out Michael again from 412 AA podcast. We spent a lot of time at the game just talking about the state of the union with this team, and thought we were walking away with a W here. Before I get into this one, I just want to say, the Bucko Brigade does a great job at these games, keeping the fans involved. But how about we don't prep to raise the Jolly Roger in like the 8th inning? I see it time and time again where we're out there and these poor teenage girls that they usually send out there are waiting. And every time I see it, they blow it. I'm not a big jinx guy, but maybe we cool it on that, because they were about to raise that thing in like the 7th. And the Nationals came back, which is a shame, because Keller, Money Mitch had a great outing, 6 innings pitched, 7 hits, 2 earned, no walks, 8 strikeouts. He had 8 whiffs. His ERA is at 3.85, 61 strikes on 91 pitches. Again, only went to the cutter 8 times. We talk about this over and over again, especially earlier in the year when Mitch was struggling. That cutter, if he relies on it too much, sometimes he stays middle of the zone. He went to the four seam instead 36 times, and he was able to control this ball game until it got to the bullpen. Ryan Barucki, who has been getting some innings after a long stint on the IL and battling with those nerve issues. 1 inning pitch, 2 earned on a home gave up a home run, 2 hits, 2 Ks. Santana went scoreless, and then Chapman. It was bound to happen at some point. 2/3 of an inning, 4 hits, 4 earned, 1 walk, 2 Ks. They were just geared up for the fastball. He went to the fastball, the four seam, 21 times, 70% of his pitches, and they were hitting it hard. Connor Joe almost made a very nice play, which would have ended the game. It was a tough play, but he had it in the glove. I don't know. I didn't look at the injury report or hear what happened after the game. From a distance, it either looked like he hit his head or he got the wind knocked out of him. He stayed in the game. That's the difference between winning this series and splitting, is that dropped ball. And obviously, I'm not going to blame this all on Connor Joe because, again, Chapman gives up 4 runs to blow a save. Never great. Holderman came in, 2 walks. As an offense, IKF collected 3 hits and an RBI. Cruz, 2 hits, had a nice double down the right field line at the beginning of the game. Triolo, 2 hits. Decent end of the year for Triolo. That's nice to see. As a team, though, they lost this game. They were in a position to win where they blew it at the end, but 14 strikeouts, 6 walks, 4 for 14 runners in scoring position, 10 left on base. Again, you got the Chapman meltdown, the bullpen blunders. One thing that really stuck out to me, they had bases loaded, 1 inning, 2 outs with Michael A. Taylor up, 3-2 at 2 count. Runners are going, and the Nationals were confident enough on a 3-2 count with 2 outs, bases loaded, in a very vulnerable position to flip Michael A. Taylor a breaking ball that they knew he was going to swing over. Really hard to see. It hasn't been a good experiment with Michael A. Taylor. He hit a home run today. But, I mean, obviously the playing time has gone down since they've decided to move Cruz out to center field. He's been getting some playing time in left field a little bit as they're giving Reynolds some more off days or just allowing him to DH a little bit more, which may be a sign for the future. Don't mean to hop around here a little bit too much, but as we get to the season's end, you have to ask these questions. What is the outfield going to look like with Michael A. Taylor leaving? Connor Joe obviously is not going to be a spot there. Brian De La Cruz has proven, it's always been proven that he can't play defense, but he's been a 30 WRC plus player since arriving with the Pirates, and it wasn't much better with the Marlins. Other than that, the only other outfield experience that you have on this team is Henry Davis and Andrew McCutchen. There's not much out there. So we'll see what they decide to do in the offseason. I've heard some names floated around, but at least going into the year, Brian Reynolds can play some outfield. Maybe they move him to right, and then Cruz stays in center, and they're able to find somebody in free agency. Sunday, Jared Jones, 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 earned, 9K, 1 home run. His ERA is at 3.82, 15 whiffs. We're feeling the rain, baby, because Jared Jones' first start off the IL wasn't pretty. Took him a little bit to go getting ramped up back in AAA, but he seems to find his stride. After the 3rd inning on this one, he did not allow a base runner, 68 strikes on 92 pitches. Here's what stood out the most. He went to the curveball 27 times. If you watch Jared Jones, it's heavy, heavy, heavy 4-seam and slider the entire year. And it's sometimes a nice balance, but usually it's one more over the other, and he has to make an adjustment. He rarely uses that curveball 27 times. Obviously, they saw something with the Nationals, and they stuck with that, and it worked. Good for Jared Jones. He had an overall great week. He had a solid outing against the Cubs, I believe, on Monday, and then finished strong on Sunday against the Nationals. Bullpen, we had Jalen Beeks, Carmen Mlodzinski. Offense, 3 home runs, Joey Bart, Andrew McCutchen, Michael A. Taylor all went deep. And then Billy Cook made his debut, 2 RBIs with a double down the line. He went 2 for 4 on the day. Good defensive play at first base, diving into the netting. Nicky G, 2 for 4 with 1 run. As a team, 6 strikeouts, no walks, 2 for 8 runners in scoring position, and 6 left on base. I like this Nationals team, and I hesitate to compare them to the Pirates because they have similar young pieces that are going to be a staple to the organization. CJ Abrams is going to be a superstar. James Wood can be a superstar, and he hits the ball very, very hard. And Dylan Cruz is going to be a stud. Mackenzie Gore, obviously, they have a young rotation. They're going to keep adding to this, and I think they've proven that they're able to make trades and able to see through that to rebuild their organization. And similar record to the Buccos right now, and obviously splitting the series, they remain around the same. They really have nothing to play for at this point, but just to finish out the season as best as they can. Would have liked to won this series, but hey, we'll take what we can get right now. We'll look at the positives. Nikki G this whole week has just had multi-hit game after multi-hit game. He looks like he's just going to be the second baseman of the future, and just getting O'Neill those reps in center field is going to be key moving forward. Let's go see what's happening down on the farm. Obviously, you had Billy Cook get called up this week, which depletes the Indianapolis roster a little bit. But they were at Toledo this week against the Mud Hens, the AAA affiliate for the Tigers. Nick York, the other one that potentially could get a September call up here, had a decent week at the beginning. He was 3 for 8 with 3 runs, 3 doubles, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, and a stolen base. His average is sitting around 330. He's hitting consistently. Monday, Mike Burrows, 4 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned, 4 walks, 4 Ks. And then Wednesday was Bubba Chandler Day, 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 3 earned, 5 walks, and 8 strikeouts. You don't really see that from Bubba too much. He can lose his own a little bit. I feel like if the secondaries aren't working for him as well as he wants them to, he's potentially forcing that a little bit to kind of prove to himself that he can do it. I mean, he's still throwing fastballs middle that people are swinging through. So obviously the stuff is there, but he's going to finish out the year in AAA, and you will see Bubba Chandler next year if he stays healthy. Really promising still. He's got a 1.93 ERA. On that same day, Josh Palacios set an Indianapolis Indians record with 4 doubles. Nick York also had 3 doubles on the day, but Palacios went 4 for 5 with those 4 doubles. Thursday, another pitching prospect, Thomas Harrington, 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 earned, 5 strikeouts. He's got a 3.67 ERA. Friday, Luis Cessa, 4 innings pitched, 7 hits, 5 earned, 6 runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. And then Billy Cook went 2 for 4 with a run, 3 RBIs, and 2 walks. And Nick York went 2 for 4 on the same day with 1 run and 1 walk. Saturday, Jake Woodford made another appearance, 2 innings pitched, 3 hits, 3 earned, 1 walk, 4 Ks. And Billy Cook hit a grand slam. People were talking about it the day before he got called up. Billy Cook's hitting grand slams in Indianapolis. Why is he not in Pittsburgh? Can't say that anymore, but, hey, good for him. 2 for 5 on Saturday with the AAA affiliate. Had 4 RBIs, 1 strikeout. Sunday, we saw Mike Burrows again, 3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 4 earned, 3 walks, 2 Ks, gave up a home run. Palacios hit a home run, and York with 2 hits. I wonder why Palacios is spending an extended period of time down there. I know he was hurt. I guess you really don't have much for him to prove. It kind of is what it is. He could be a solid bench guy, locker room guy, but I guess if he's getting consistent at bats and he's playing well, you might as well just keep that going. But, it's probably a better option than something you got now, especially if you're moving Michael A. Taylor from center field and putting him in left field. What's the value there? Let's go to Altoona against the Hartford Yard Goats, the AA affiliate for the Rockies. Tuesday, Sammy Ciani went 2 for 3 with a double. His average is all up to 255. This is a good bounce back year for Sammy Ciani, the former first-round pick that's kind of had a rough go of it, drafted during those COVID years, finishing the season strong in Altoona. Emmanuel Chapman, the big right-handed pitcher, 6'6", 255. He went 3 2/3, 6 hits, 4 earned, 1 walk, 4 Ks. And then Wednesday, former Bucco Banner minor leaguer of the week, I think 2 times already, Dominic Paracci. Shout out Scott in Italy, 4 innings pitched, 8 hits, 5 earned, no walks, 4 Ks, gave up 2 home runs. On that same Wednesday, Nick Samillo 3 for 3 with a run and a walk, and Jace Bowen with 2 RBIs on 1 hit. Thursday, Po Yu Shen, 3 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 earned, and Yoner Fajardo went 2 for 5 with 1 run. His average is at 305 as the DH. Friday, I know we talked about it the week before. Solometo trying to get his footing a little bit. Wasn't happening on Friday. 1 inning pitch, 6 hits, 6 earned, 1 walk, no strikeouts. His ERA is going to probably finish this year around 6.37. I'd like to talk to some people down there to kind of see where they see this playing out next year. He is very young, but does he start again in Altoona? Do they put him back in high A to see if he can work something out, or just simply keep him down on the complex? I'm not sure if I've seen the Arizona Fall League rosters come out. I know there's going to be some Pirates playing out there. Maybe I'll get a trip out there to see it, but maybe he's a candidate to, just keep getting him reps, because we got to figure something out here. There's a lot of talent. Termarr Johnson, 2 for 4 on Friday with a run. His average is at 121. I think he got it up to around 155 by the week's end. Saturday, Nick Dombrowski, 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned, 2 walks, 5K. Saturday, again, Termarr Johnson, 3 for 5, 2 runs with a bomb. Man, he can turn on the ball. Matt Frazier collected 3 hits. Sung Sheng Cheng, 2 hits, 2 RBIs. Sunday, you had Chapman again, 3 innings pitched, 6 hits, 2 earned, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. Samillo, Bowen, and Brendan Dixon all collected 2 RBIs, and Jace Bowen hit a home run, which brings us to Greensboro versus the Bowling Green Hot Rods. Can't get enough of these minor league names. This is the high A affiliate for the Tampa Bay Rays. Mitch Jebb had a decent start to the week. He was 2 for 10. That picked up 2 runs, an RBI with a double and a stolen base. He's been consistently staying around 250. He's been above the Mendoza line all year, but I was low on Mitch Jebb before. I kind of was like, this guy doesn't really have a position, but maybe he's going to be that utility player that the Pirates just love, where they can plug in place and he can get on base. But let's get into it. Tuesday, Omar Alfonso goes 2 for 3 with a home run and an RBI. Wednesday, Carlson Reed, 6 1/3, 1 hit, 1 earned, 5 Ks, and a home run. He really hasn't slowed down since being promoted. Again, a college arm, tore it up in Bradenton, seems to be really adjusting to not a hitter's park at all in Greensboro. So if you could pitch really well in Greensboro, things are going your way. Again, on Wednesday, Alfonso went 2 for 3 with a double and another home run for his 4th on the year. And then Mitch Jebb, 2 for 4 with a double and a stolen base. He's got 42 stolen bases this year. My guy can fly. Thursday, Wilbur Dotel, 3 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned, 3 walks, and 3 Ks. And then again, Mitch Jebb, 2 for 4, 2 runs, and a strikeout. He got his average up this week to 254. Friday, Derek Diamond, who's kind of been all over the place this year, 3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 earned, 2 strikeouts, and a home run. Jack Brannigan, 3 for 4, 1 run, 2 RBIs, and a home run. His average, 235. This is kind of typical. This is what you're going to see with true outcome guys. Walk, strikeout, or a home run. The average is not going to be high. A lot of promise there with Jack Brannigan. Like to see where that goes. Saturday, Michael Kennedy, man, 5 2/3, 1 hit, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts. In Greensboro, he's got a .84 ERA. This is the upstate New York arm that was a commit to LSU that we were high on going into the year. He cracked the top 100 list, I believe, for Fangraphs, maybe. If you recall, Fangraphs did not have Anthony Solometo on their top prospects list. I believe they had Michael Kennedy on their list, though. Really, really promising stuff for another left-hander in the system other than Solometo. That was the hype of the town before. Young, he might be 20 years old now, 19. So excited to see him pitch well in Greensboro. Again, a hard place for pitchers to succeed, and he is seemingly doing it with very little stress. And then Sunday, JP Macy, 3 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. Brannigan collected 2 hits to finish out the week, which brings us to Bradenton. They were at Daytona Tortugas, the low A affiliate for the Reds. Monday, Xander Meath realized that it's Meath and not Muth. Spelling is that it's wild on that. If you look at it, 4 innings pitch, 1 hit, 3 earned, 3 walks, 6 Ks. Josh Hartle, the recent draft pick, went 1 2/3, 5 hits, 3 earned, 1 walk, 2 Ks. Hasn't got off to that great of a start. And then Wiedergriff, 2 innings pitch, 1 hit, no earned, 1 walk, 4 Ks. Johnny Severino, 2 for 4 with 2 home runs. He's got 5 on the short season for him, 3 RBIs. And then Esmeralda Valdez, 2 for 4 with 2 home runs. He's got 21 on the year, 3 RBIs. His average is sitting at 222. Thursday's games were postponed. Friday also had half of a game postponed. Before it was, Antoine Kelly went 3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned, 4 walks, 2 Ks. Esmeralda Valdez, 2 for 2 with 3 RBIs. Shaylin Polanco, who very promising Pirates prospect, has just really struggled in his first true professional season. 1 for 2, 2 runs, 2 RBIs with 2 walks. His average is at 189 right now. Saturday, they had 2 games. They completed the game on Friday, which I just ran you through. Game 2, Christian Curtis went 4 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned, 2 walks, 6 Ks. And Shaylin Polanco picked it up, 2 for 2 with a walk. And then Sunday was Xander Meath, and that game is still ongoing as we record now, so I will not have stats for that. But Xander Meath is a very, very interesting prospect. Big right-handed pitcher, arm side fastball with a lot of movement. Can pump it mid to upper 90s. System's loaded with arms, man. It's really fun to see some type of promise when you're going through this. I know I'm hyping myself up with these guys. I mean, he's super young. He's out of high school, but the next window of Pirates also looks really good. I think Noah Hiles has talked about it on this show before, because we're like, what if they miss this window? And, they're waiting on this other window. They're drafting like they're waiting on this other window. And he's like, well, that other window is not bad. They have a lot of talent at that. But I mean, prospects are prospects until they're not. And we just simply do not know how these guys are going to play out, but we'll appreciate what they're doing in the meantime. That's going to bring us to our minor league player of the week. This is a repeat minor league player of the week. There was a couple good options here with the bats, some good outings, but we're going to have to go Michael Kennedy again. 5 2/3, 1 hit, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts. He's not blowing the ball by you. This is a lot of deception, sneaky delivery. He could keep you off balance. Like I mentioned before, he's got it at 0.84 ERA down there in Greensboro. 10 strikeouts, man, for the lefty. That's awesome. So we're going to go with Michael Kennedy for our minor league player of the week. We'll get the graphic up there for you so you can see the breakdown of the stats. Before we move on, we're going to take a little bit break, and then we're going to come back with Bloomsburg hitting coach, friend of the pod, and avid Marlins fan, Adam Sinkoe. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Joining us now is repeat guest. I believe this is his 3rd time on the show, which would make him the 2nd most visited guest in Bucco Banner history, right behind Pirates beat writer Noah Hiles, friend of the show, Adam Sinkoe. Adam, welcome to the show again.
Thanks, man. Good to be back. I didn't think I'd be back this quickly, but got the text from you. I knew the Marlins series would be coming up, and yeah, glad to hop back on here.
Yeah, it kind of worked out perfectly. I know Scott had you on when I was in Europe, and now he's gone. And I looked at the schedule, and just coincidentally, the Marlins are in town. I'm like, well, Sinkoe's already got the experience. He knows the Bucco Banner layout. So why not, right? And you killed it last episode, so I appreciate you filling in. But, you had an Adam and a Scott. There's always an Adam and a Scott, but an Adam and an Adam is just way better.
So much better. So many Adams. We got to get Debo on one of these days. Get another Adam and Adam tandem going. But.
Right. Well, I have 2 weeks of no Scotty Mo, so maybe I'll squeeze in another Adam until we just slowly filter out Scott and just take over. But Sinkoe, let's get into it. We have 2 bad baseball teams.
Yes, we
do. To say the least. I know at the beginning of the year we had you on for a preview. Believe it or not, I think we had you on because we were talking a potential Cabrera trade between the Pirates and the Marlins. That just kind of
went well today, ironically.
He what?
He pitched really well today. Actually, we're recording on a Sunday here,
And
against the Phillies. Had a six inning quality start today. So yeah,
and I
he's
think
doing all right.
I think that was mainly rumors at the time, but you're trying to fill airspace here and talk about the rumors and everything that's going to happen in free agency in the offseason. Then we were hopeful, right? The Marlins made the playoffs the year prior. The Pirates had O'Neal Cruz coming back. They have a lot of young pieces, Skeens joining the team. You only could be hopeful right at the beginning of the year, and then things went south pretty quickly. Maybe more for the Marlins earlier on. So you've had a little bit more time to adjust and kind of just say, hey, this season's maybe a little bit of a wash. We're on to next year. You guys killed it at the trade deadline, kind of building for the future. Talk me through like how it's been this year as a Marlins fan, kind of where the team was last year. The offseason, I know, was a little bit weird with getting rid of the GM and having like a little bit of a front office shift, and then where you see them now and going into the future.
Yeah, it's a very different roster as the last time the Marlins faced off against the Pirates, which was opening weekend.
Right.
Got guys were in the lineup were Luis Arias, Jazz Chisholm, Tim Anderson, Josh Bell. None of these guys are going to be in the lineup this week in Pittsburgh. Guys, Luis Arias was the first one they decided to let go early in the year when things got off to a really, really bad start. Cut bait on Arias pretty early, and he's been doing pretty well with the Padres. But yeah, like you said, fired Kim Ang, or maybe parted ways mutually. Brought in a different style front office, more of the Rays, formula. Bringing in a guy from the Rays, and I think he did a fantastic job, like you said, at the deadline, acquiring some really good young talent for these guys and setting us up pretty well for the future. We'll talk about some of those guys that they acquired. One specifically is having a really good streak here. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but yeah, I think we're set up okay. The farm went from bottom of the barrel in April to now middle of the pack. I think they're ranked number 17 right now in MLB Pipeline's farm system rankings. Started the year as number 29. So yeah, did a pretty good job at the deadline to bring in some prospects, boost the depth in the system a little bit. So.
Well, speaking, you mentioned Arias is gone, Bell is gone, Anderson is gone, Chisholm is gone, Brian De La Cruz is gone.
Brian De La Cruz is another one
who if I know Marlins fans, or at least the ones that I knew growing up in Florida, they're probably smiling ear to ear that BDLC is gone and the return that you got from the Pirates.
Absolutely.
Like I said, the Marlins killed the trade deadline. It was BDLC for Jung-Suk Shim and Garrett Forster, a college bat and a complex arm that has a ton of potential. BDLC has been a pretty much failed experiment in Pittsburgh. And Scotty and I said it before the deadline when the rumors were going around that, like, hey, they're going to bring in Brian De La Cruz. He's got 18 bombs with the Marlins. People seemingly ignored that he cannot play defense to save his life. And he also strikes out just as much as Jack Sawinski did when he was on the team. It was pretty much the same thing with the Marlins, right?
Yeah, I mean, just a lot of swing and miss. Just pretty terrible defense in left field. But yeah, the power was there in Miami, and it's just not showing up in Pittsburgh the way that Ben Cherington had hoped, I'm sure. But
it's a typical Pirates trade. He's under control for 3 years at like the league minimum.
Yeah, from like you said, from my perspective as a Marlins fan, definitely happy with that one. Get a guy and Shim who you put into the Marlins. Pitching development. We've had a really good track record of developing arms over the last several years, which is a good segue into another main theme of the Marlins year is just kind of an injury bug on the pitching side.
Right.
Like you said, last year made the playoffs. Sandy Alcantara went down with Tommy John. Yuri Perez, Tommy John. Ryan Weathers out for the year. Braxton Garrett out for the year. Max Meyer now in the IL. So Just no luck whatsoever on the pitching side. Just kind of a wash of a year. I mean, you're not going to be winning games with guys we're trotting out in the
Yeah.
rotation.
Well,
So
you also had AJ Puck in the starting rotation as well.
AJ Puck was in the rotation, and yeah,
Who's not there anymore.
moved to the bullpen, was crushing it out of the bullpen. Another deadline deal. He's been absolutely shoving for the Diamondbacks in a late inning role over there too. So,
Are there any pieces on offense that you're, excited for the future, or is it kind of like, hey, we're riding with the guys that we have until we can fully develop our farm system?
yeah, I mean, there's Jake Berger, who's had one hell of a second half. Was going to talk about him a little bit later, but I mean, I mentioned him now. Is 15 home runs in the second half after the All-Star break. Hitting 275 with a 900 plus OPS in the second half. He's another guy we have control of for the next, I believe it's the next 5 seasons. So one guy who they didn't want to trade, because of that control, because of that potential in the bat, kind of a DH type, first base type. So you're not going to get much out of him defensively, but definitely some thunder in the bat. Another guy who was a deadline acquisition from the Orioles, Connor Norby, who's been the hottest hitter, one of the hottest hitters in baseball over the last couple of weeks, coming in with 286 batting average on the year, with 8 home runs, and 6 of those home runs are in the last 14 days. So he's on fire. I'll get a little bit more into specifics with him, unless you want to get it out of the way now.
Yeah, go for it. I mean, let's stick to the bats. I mean,
yeah, we could stick to the bats early here. So got some notes on Norby too. So he hits a lot of balls in the air. So he doesn't have the greatest bat speed, kind of lower end bat speed, but what he does really well and what he's been doing over the last few weeks is hitting the ball in the air, hitting the ball hard in the air to the pull side, and that's what leads to home runs. As a hitter yourself, if you hit the ball to the pull side in the air, there's a good chance it's gonna get out. The dimensions are a little bit more forgiving to the pull side. You got to hit a 350 instead of 400 or 385, right, and the gaps are up to straightaway center. So a lot easier to do damage with maybe some less exit velo, a little bit less bat speed if you're doing a lot of damage in the air to the pull side. So that's what he's been doing. And he's the numbers back it up. 100 percentile in launch angle sweet spot percent. 47% of his batted balls are at optimal launch angles. So yeah, I mean, just doing everything that you're looking for in a hitter right now. Is not striking out. He's walking, and he's hitting the ball hard with good launch angles. So someone I'm really excited for in the future. Only traded Trevor Rogers for him, who was optioned by the Orioles after 2 or 3 starts. So yeah, I think that was probably the biggest win of the deadline there.
Yeah, and you also recently called up a guy that you've played against, I'm pretty sure, in Griffin
Conine. Definitely an interesting player. Kind of a career minor leaguer up to this point. He's 28, so it took him a little bit longer to get to the big leagues than I would have thought. Coming out of college, was a big bat at Duke, in the middle of their lineup, hit a bunch of homers. In the ACC, really has a lot of juice, has a lot of bat speed in there. Just kind of wasn't developing as a polished guy in the minor leagues. Struck out a lot of chase, a lot of whiff. So did take him a little bit longer to get to this point, but he is here now. Did play against him in high school a couple years. He was in my district at Pinecrest, and
he's been doing all right since he's been called up.
He has been doing pretty well. He went 3 for 4 today. And of course the son of Mr. Marlin, Jeff Conine. So
was it Jeff Conine that had the restaurant in Hollywood, Florida? Was it Conine's?
I think so. Okay. I don't know if I ever actually ate there, but I'm pretty sure
It was one of those old Marlin players. Like, I mean, there was like Conine on that team. I'm trying to think like Mike Lowell.
Those were some classic teams.
Yeah, the old
Eric
school
Lee.
Yeah. Shout out Derek Lee.
Pierre, Juan Pierre. Yeah, Josh Beckett, Dontrell Willis. Those are some good teams.
Jeez, oh man. Well, yeah, you know, I can get excited about this Marlins team for the future, you know, if they do stay the path. And, you know, I'm hesitant to like say like, you know, stick to the plan, because the Pirates always have, quote unquote, a plan that they are ride and die by. Like they're like straight for the course. Like, hey, we need to do X, Y, and Z in order to get to the end of the road. And sometimes like you just don't see the end of the road. Like we're in year 5 of a rebuild right now, and you kind of are having the same problems that you had in like year 1, year 2. Do you see any issues with like Skip or any other like coaching things that are going to happen in the offseason that need to change and for the Marlins to like take a next step?
Well, I personally, I'm sure a lot of other Marlins fans would share this sentiment. I love Skip Schumacher, and he took the Marlins to the playoffs in his first year at the helm. I think he does a really good job, you know, having guys back and getting the best out of his guys. This year, I think he's kind of dealt a poor hand. I think he had a really good thing going with Kim Ng. And then Peter Bendix coming in kind of ruffled some feathers. Maybe the approach is a little bit different. The injury bug, like I was talking about, starting pitching. But what I'm hearing is that he is going to want to opt out and leave at the end of the year.
That he has an opt out?
Yeah, so if I remember correctly, they talked about it actually before the season even started, that he was most likely going to use that opt-out or mutually part ways. And Peter Bendix would want to find his own kind of manager that is his choice, which I would disagree with. I think Skip has been awesome in his time, 2 years with the Marlins, and I'd love to keep him, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him. Honestly, right. I could see him in Pittsburgh next year. I could see him in Los Angeles. He played for the Dodgers. If the Dodgers don't go deep in the playoffs this year again, Dave Roberts has been a great regular season manager, but has always underachieved with the Dodgers in the postseason. I think it's that this is their last chance, or his last chance, and I can see Skip going to LA actually.
Yeah, I mean that's been a huge discussion here. Obviously, is like, hey, what do you do with Derek Shelton? And I mean, like, I kind of share the same sentiment with Derek Shelton too, because Shelton's 5 years in now. Not one season has he been dealt a good hand in terms of a strong 1 through 9 lineup or a good rotation that's going to get you quality starts. And it's the same thing this year. So it's like, hey, I mean, good managers make good with what they have, but you can only do that to a certain point where the guy's got to perform. And, you know, any managerial decision making or strategy is only going to take you so far. I mean, I'll take Skip Schumacher. That would be great. I'm a big fan. But you know, it's just these teams. I mean, the Marlins are what, 53 and 89 right now, 26 and 42 on the road. They're 5-5 in their last 10. The stats kind of line up for both teams. I mean, the Marlins definitely have a slightly worse record, but they're 27th in the league in hitting. The Pirates are 26. The team average is 24. The Pirates is 235. Marlins are second and last in OPS at 669. The Pirates are at 672. And then you go to pitching. The Marlins are third last. The Pirates are 19th. So a little bit more of a difference. The Marlins have walked the 5th most hitters in the league and have an overall average of 258 against opposing batters. So the hitting is pretty much
it's
identical.
I will say the pre-All-Star break Marlins are a little bit different than the post-All-Star break Marlins. Pre-All-Star break 33 and 63 record. 30 games under 500. Just abysmal. Since the All-Star break, 20 and 26 record. So starting to see some signs of life The offense is starting to turn a corner with giving some of these young guys a chance. And like I said, Jake Berger kind of caught fire since the middle of July. Connor Norby, and another one is Xavier Edwards, who's our leadoff guy. Who that's when they DFA'd Tim Anderson to give Xavier Edwards every day at bats at shortstop.
Right.
And he's hitting 325, 25 steals. Kind of your Luis Ariz build, Stephen Kwan, high end contact guy, doesn't strike out, walks a lot. Something that Luis Ariz doesn't really do, but Edwards does walk a lot. No power, only has 1 home run of the year, but hitting 325 at the top of the lineup, getting on base a ton. He's been a bright spot. And again, like I said, post All-Star break, 733 team OPS, as opposed to 638 OPS.
Right. I was going to say it's like a 100-point difference, right?
Yeah, 100-point difference. So the bats are definitely picking it up, and so definitely happy to see that. But
right, let's get
a chance.
Yeah, well, let's get into pitching a little bit because Monday we don't have all of the announced starters yet, so we're going to work with what we have. Monday we have maybe the exact opposite in starting pitchers in Paul Skeens and Valente Beloso for the Marlins. Now, Skeens, I mean, obviously, our listeners know he has the ability to overpower you, swing and miss, chase. He's not going to walk a lot of guys. It's Beloso averages like at 89 miles per hour on his fastball. It's a real slow delivery to the plate. I believe he debuted this year in June. He's 2-2, 3.78 ERA in 9 games, 47 2/3 innings pitched, 33 Ks. Not a big guy, 5'10", 208, 24 years old. Arsenal, he's got a 4-seam, a cutter, change, sweep, and curve. Like I said, the 4-seam sits at 89. He uses that 40% of the time, which really surprised me for a guy that throws 89 miles per hour. If you're sticking with that pitch is like your go-to. But the expected batting average on it's 221. So guys, I mean, he is keeping guys off balance, it seems. And like, I want you to get into that a little bit because it speaks to me a little bit because the expected batting average is 268. So it's a pretty big difference in the batting average and the expected batting average. He goes to the cutter 25% of the time, the change 12, sweeper 11, curve 11. So, I mean, he's really kind of like a 2-pitch guy with 2 fastballs in the 4-seam and the cutter. Talk about what you've seen from Beloso so far. I mean, this is obviously, like I said, not overpowering, small guy. He works at the top of the zone a lot. What are the Marlins getting at him, and what can the Pirates expect?
Yeah, so like you said, some of the numbers don't make much sense because his expected numbers are way elevated than his real numbers. So he's gotten the advantage of having luck on his side so far. His first couple outings in a Marlins uniform where they were quality starts, but his expected batting average, expected ERA are elevated because he's getting hit hard, but he's catching some luck, right? So 3.78 ERA, like you said, but it's a 5.38 expected ERA. So yeah, almost 2 full points higher in terms of his expected ERA. So yeah, he's catching some good luck there. Like you said, the 4-seam 40% of the time, and it's nothing overpowering. And the cutter is really his bread and butter in terms of what he's getting soft contact with. The cutter has a 153 batting average against. So he's throwing that 25% of the time, and he's getting a lot of soft contact with the cutter. And I think he should probably be using that a lot more. And because that 4-seam and the cutter are working pretty well for him, his fastball run value, and for our listeners, the cutter is categorized as a fastball technically. So that groups into his fastball run value. When you look on Baseball Savant, it's 88th percentile. So his fastball does work at getting outs. It's productive. Where he struggles is with his off-speed stuff. His off-speed, like you said, sweeper, 78 miles an hour, throws at 11.5% of the time. That's his best off-speed pitch. Has a 165 expected batting average. So he's producing some soft contact with the sweeper, but his curveball, which he's using just as much as that sweeper at 11%, is getting just destroyed. Has an 824 opponent slugging percentage, which would be good if it was an OPS and not just. So
Right.
his curveball is getting hit really hard. Doesn't generate swings and misses, doesn't generate chases, really relies on guys just putting the ball in play and wishing for the best. And early in his time with the Marlins, he was catching that luck, and it's kind of run out on him.
Right.
Recently, turns into a 6th percentile barrel percent, getting hitting hit hard in the air as well, and just an abysmal ground ball rate in the 1st percentile. So no one in the big leagues generates ground balls less than Belozo. Something you don't want when you throw any time up.
Which becomes an issue when you're not throwing hard and you're also keeping the ball up in the zone, because his LA sweet spot is at 38.7, and like the league average sits around like 32, 33. So I mean, like if you're able to elevate the ball on him, you're going to hit him hard. I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah, and it's a good chance that you do with the stuff that he has nothing that really is gonna get it on the hands or get guys out front. Guys aren't fooled by his stuff. So a lot of hard contact on the barrel, not getting guys off balance. So that's what he's trying to do. He doesn't walk many guys. He's in the zone, just trying to generate contact and get early outs and be efficient. But like I said, not working well for him recently.
Yeah, this will be the first time the Marlins see Paul Skeens since his call up. The Marlins saw Jared Jones earlier in the year. They saw Bailey Falter earlier in the year, who they crushed. And that was actually probably Bailey Falter's worst outing, maybe of the entire year. He's been pretty solid since then, but this will be the first time that lineup sees Skeens. Let's go to Tuesday, Sinkoe. The Pirates have not announced a starting pitcher, but the Marlins will have Adam Aller going, another Adam on the pod. So I'm happy to talk about this one. I'll break down a little background here. We got a right-handed pitcher, 6'4", 225, 29 years old. He's 1-2, 4.15 ERA in only 4 games this year, 21 2/3 inning, 22 Ks. Drafted by the Pirates in 2016 in the 20th round out of Northwestern State. You got an arsenal of a 4-seam, a slurve, a curve, and a change. He's going to sit mid-90s on the 4-seam 55% of the time. The slurve 24% of the time, which is pretty much his put-away pitch. It seems like he tries to start it out of the zone. He's got an batting average on it of 43. So it seems like it's working for him. The curve, batting average 200, expected batting average 307. So probably getting a little lucky with that. And then the changeup at only 9% of the time. What have you seen from our fellow Adam in his short stint with the Marlins?
Yeah, Adam, like you said, love talking about the Adams. We're a dominating pod here. So, yeah, he's tall, lanky righty. Was in the rotation, kind of bounced back and forth between the bullpen and the rotation with the Athletics over the last few years. Had a pretty good year in 2022 in the rotation with the A's. Does have does walk a lot of guys, kind of the opposite of Belozo. Has better stuff. That slurve, like you said, is his best pitch. It's a firm slurve. It's averages 85.5 miles an hour. So it is a firm slurve as averages go. So he likes to throw it, like you said, 0.43 batting average against. It's not getting hit hard. The 4-seam also pretty good batting average against, 205. So overall, I think he's a pretty good guy, that we're running out there every 5 days compared to who else
Right.
we have. So, the changeup's getting hit the hardest of all his pitches, only using it 9% of the time, but it has a 600 batting average against. So when he throws the changeup, it's getting hit. So look for him to live up in the zone with the fastball, work off of that with the slurve. The curveball also getting some pretty good results, only a 200 batting average against. So that one's a little bit slower than the slurve. That the curveball is 81.7 miles an hour on average. So he kind of has those two breaking balls that he kind of works off of. The slurve when he wants more of that, fastball feel, kind of closer to his fastball velocity, maybe tunnel out a little bit, and then the curveball is to get guys out in front. I like the arsenal here, and then the changeup, kind of something that goes the other way, towards the arm side. Everything else that he throws as either straight with the four seam or cuts to his glove side with the slurve and the curveball. So I can see him maybe adding if his changeup is really producing poor results for the remainder of the year, maybe adding a two seam, something else, maybe a splitter, maybe something else that goes that dives off to the arm side that isn't the changeup if he doesn't like these results.
Right.
But yeah, I think he's kind of a tough at bat. He's long, lanky, kind of arms and legs flying at you. He is pretty straight over the top, so the arm slot's nothing crazy, but he's a lot of body parts kind of thrown at you. Not an easy at bat. Will strike guys out, kind of above average K rate. Like you said, 22 strikeouts in 21 innings. So he will strike some guys out, and he will walk some guys. So look for some better stuff on Tuesday from Aller, and if he's in the zone, he's really tough to hit. If he's not walking guys, and his best outing of the year kind of shows what he can be. 2 starts ago against the Giants on August 30th, went 6 innings, allowed 2 hits, no runs, 8 strikeouts. So kind of see what you can get out of him there. So I think look for some tougher at bats here on Tuesday than you're going to get on Monday against Veloso.
Gotcha. And you know what the splits are looking like with him? I mean, does he have any is it any different between righties and lefties, or is there really not much of like a sample size here for this year?
No, not much different. The sample size is kind of small. He's only had 4 starts in the major leagues. He was with the Guardians in AAA for most of the year until they released him. I would imagine, though, bigger sample size since he doesn't have that changeup working for him. The lefties are probably going to hit him better just because he doesn't have anything moving away from those lefties to keep him in check there. So everything he has is moving, like I said, either straight or down and into the lefties. So I would imagine that over time, the lefties would hit him a little bit harder than the righties. So
right. Well, I would go to Wednesday, but we have a little bit of a conundrum here because the Marlins have not announced anybody, and the next person up in the rotation would have been Austin Kitchen, who was DFA'd. Before we got on the air, you were telling me a little bit of a story about Austin Kitchen. Why don't you share that with the listeners?
Yeah, so I was doing some research, seeing who might be in this slot for the Marlins on Wednesday. Typed in Austin Kitchen on Twitter to see, if he was still up or what was going on with him. The first tweet on top was that Austin Kitchen had in fact been DFA'd. That was just yesterday, less than 24 hours ago. The next tweet right below that was a private facility, throwing and hitting facility that I've worked with actually before, called PVS. They do a great job. They've produced a lot of pro pitchers and MLB players. And the tweet was, former PVS guy and Pittsburgh native, Austin Kitchen is coming to town with the Marlins, and reply to this tweet or DM us if you're interested in tickets. So tough blow there, saying that he was DFA'd and he won't be in town. So
yeah, that sucks. He's a Mount Lebo guy. I just found out.
Lebo.
Interesting. So sorry, Mr. Kitchen and to the Kitchen family. It's not going to be a reunion at PNC Park this year. You're going to get Bailey Falter on Wednesday for the Pirates. You know what you're getting out of Falter. Really good extension. That four seam's going to sit 93, 94 with a lot of carry at the top of the zone. It's what you've run through with the Marlins lineup. It's kind of just like, hey, you got to stay consistent and stay efficient and just not make mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. And they do struggle against lefties on the year. The splits are pretty drastic. Not too drastic. 685 OPS against righties versus 635 OPS against lefties. So there is a lot of struggle against those left-handed arms. Part of that is, a couple of guys that are regulars in the lineup are lefties that struggle against lefties. Jesus Sanchez being one of them, and then until he was dealt to the Yankees, Jazz Chisholm has always been known to struggle left on left. So a couple guys in the lineup bringing those splits down, but still you can expect Bailey Falter to have a little bit more success against the Marlins just on average with those splits as being a lefty. So
yeah.
All right, well, does crush lefties, so I maybe put a little home run.
Maybe anytime
on Jake.
Yeah. All right, no, that just for the listeners, that is not gambling advice. So, Sinkoe, I appreciate you joining us today. As always, I'm going to keep you on while we run through the rest of the pod here, and then we'll see how this Marlins series go. It's going to be just the battle of the mediocre this week going into the end of the year as we kind of just go through the dog days of the end of the season. Let's get to the hitter and pitcher of the week. Hitter of the week is Nick Gonzalez, and just right on time because Nicky G got the Bucko Banner shirt. Such a nice guy. We're huge Nicky G fans, and it's so nice to see how he's turned it on since being recalled this year at the beginning of this year, and then coming off the IL and still hitting the same stride that he had earlier in the year and finding that success. This was, a big bat coming out of college. This was like a pick that a lot of people were excited about, and it just didn't click for a while, to the point where a lot of people thought Nicky G is what he is. He was relying heavily on the pull, kind of a one bat like path type of guy. We used to compare him to like not the overall player, but like Bellinger in terms of his bat path and just staying on the same plane. And he's really made that adjustment where he's able to hit the ball the other way. This week, 9 for 26, 4 runs, 5 RBIs, 1 walk, 4 Ks, 1 stolen base for an average of 346. I know you're a big Nick Gonzalez guy too, or that you followed him in college. He's just an all around good player.
Absolutely. He's a guy that I was hoping the Marlins would be drafting. I think they had about the 5th or 6th pick that year. Maybe it was the 3rd. Actually, I think that was the Max Meyer year. So Marlins had the 3rd pick, chose Max Meyer. But I was hoping, Nick Gonzalez was a guy that I would have been really happy with in that 3rd spot, going in, kind of like a Mike Trout type look to the swing, pretty vertical, hits pitches down and in really well, has that really compact swing, kind of that 3/4 finish, like the Trout, Mookie Betts type finish. Really, really big fan of Nick. I think he's going to be awesome for you guys.
Yeah.
In the future. So
I'm excited. Looking at this 2020 draft class real quick. He had Spencer Torkelson, Heston Kjerstad, Max Meyer, Asa Lacy, Austin Martin, Emerson Hancock, then Nick Gonzalez. You had Reed Detmers at 10, Garrett Crochet at 11. And then Nick York, who's also a Pirate now, at 17. Peter Crow Armstrong was in this draft. Carson Tucker, who, did not have a good go at it. And then Bobby Miller with the last pick from the Dodgers. So decent draft class, but Nick Gonzalez has really taken the time to perfect his craft. And then we will go to the pitcher of the week is Jared Jones, which I'm happy to announce because he spent some time on the IL And as I mentioned earlier in the episode, it took him a little bit to get the engines going. But in 2 starts this week, 13 and 1/3 innings pitched, 10 hits, 5 earned, 1 walk, 13 Ks. Today, against the Nationals, he did not allow a base runner past the 3rd inning. So having Jared Jones as a staple in that rotation for years to come is going to be incredible. Sinkoe, before we get out of here, I'm not sure if you mentioned it on the pod last week, but just give everybody a little bit of background of what you're doing at Bloomsburg and what's in store for the upcoming season.
Yeah, appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about myself and Bloomsburg. I mean, it's we're a Division II school. I'm the hitting coach in PSAC conference. We did talk a little bit about the PSAC and Bloom with Scotty last week. But yeah, getting going here, starting to practice up for the fall, getting the hitter assessments going. You guys could probably tell I'm a big hitting guy the way I talk about it.
Yeah.
Talk hitting for days, and pitching. I'm definitely interested in too, but I can talk hitting for a long time, and we're really excited with the guys we have and the culture that we're creating, and we're looking to return to where we've been. I mean, the last year or two has been a little bit of a downswing. We were conference champions in 2021, conference champions in 2019, with that COVID year in between. So technically back-to-back PSAC championships. And I think we have the team to get back there this year and bring in some transfers. Got some young guys who got some playing time last year who we expect to take a leap this year. It's been a great time being here. Central PA, it's about 3 hours from Pittsburgh, but really cool small town. Definitely college town. A lot of nightlife. Our guys love being here. It's not like a commuter campus. They're here, and they're spending their weekends here. They're not going home. It's just like a good environment, good atmosphere, and it's a cool little town. And got some good talent that we're working with, and we're excited.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to definitely catch a game or two this year. I know you guys are heading to this side of the state. So Scotty and I will definitely be there supporting the Huskies. If you don't already, follow us on Instagram at Bucko Banner, Twitter at Bucko Banner Pod, TikTok at Bucko Banner, YouTube Bucko Banner, on Threads Bucko Banner, on OnlyFans. Just kidding. We don't have an OnlyFans yet, but we're working on it. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, leave a comment. If you're listening, download the episode, give it a 5-star rating. It means a lot. Go to the Bucko Banner store, get some merch. Nikki G likes it. Jared Jones likes it. Everybody likes it. So Sinkoe, appreciate you joining us. I'm sure we'll have you on the show again soon. Hey, maybe when Scotty's gone in this next couple of weeks again, if I need some help here.
Absolutely.
So until then, yeah, we appreciate it, man. But until then, let's raise it.
Raise it.
Best seats at the Pirates game, they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my date.